Welcome, I'm Ollie. I'm CEO of London United. We are the esports organisation that is using gaming and esports as a medium to address societal issues. And this current campaign is fusing education and esports. And I'm really pleased to say that we have got a fantastic academic with Julian here from the University of East London, and we thank them for their support, as well as a number of industry participants that are here to give you the benefit of their experience, which I think is a really unique opportunity. And ultimately, what we want to provide you is with some skills that you can take forward, whether you want to work in esports or elsewhere, that are transferable. But particularly as we look to our 3 Twitch broadcasts on the 12th, 16th and 19th, there's an opportunity for you to get involved and for your content to be included. So without further ado, I'm just going to remind people, please, to keep their cameras on from a safeguarding perspective, and only use the chat if you want to ask questions, which Julian will then address. So over to you, Julian. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so excited to be a part of this. This is going to be a lot of fun. You know, one thing, as I was kind of prepping for this presentation and kind of just thinking about it, you know, it's really amazing just how far gaming has come, and the whole idea of the esport athlete, and how, you know, athletics and esports and gaming, you know, when I grew up, it was very separate, right? You know, you were either the jock or you were playing games. You know, fortunately, I went to a very small school, so it was kind of cool to do both. You know, if you want to really hang out with everybody, we would go play sports and then go and play Tekken or something like that. But it's so nice to kind of see this blend now where esport athletes are being treated the same way that, you know, traditional sports athletes are treated too. And as a person who really enjoys being in both worlds, it's really great to see that blend occurring. So thank you so much to London United for making these things happen. Cool, I'll go ahead and kick it off and introduce everybody that we have in this fabulous thing. So it's gonna be a bit clunky as I'm gonna be sharing my screen and then not sharing my screen and kind of going back and forth there. So, but I think we're all used to that. We've been doing that since March roughly. So, you know, we get it. All right, so you can all see that, right? Just making sure. Perfect, cool. So welcome to the video production workshop. Again, my name is Julian Alexander, and we have 4 incredible special guests with us today too. Amanda Lawson, Clifford Webb, Kerry, Waananen, and Nicolas, Estrup. So if you don't mind, please, I'll just kind of go around and just share a few words about yourself and the organization that you're representing, so that we have an idea of, you know, what you do and who you are. And I'll go ahead and start with Amanda, please.
Hi guys, it's really good to be part of this. Thank you so much for the invite. So I'm Global Head of Content for Gfinity, which is a UK esports organisation that focuses on global esports events. So my background is kind of more traditional broadcast and production. So I've spent my whole kind of sports career, production career, moving in like all across different sports. So I have been head of production at ITV Sport, the UK's sort of one of the UK's main terrestrial broadcasters, as you probably all know. So I've done Champions League, World Cups, Rugby World Cups, endless football, French Open tennis, you name it, I've kind of done most sports. And then I got the opportunity to work as director of production for UFC. And although I was kind of unsure as to whether to take that role on, because I wasn't exactly into UFC, I thought it was a great opportunity to move out of mainstream kind of, I guess, linear broadcast and more into the world of digital. And working for the UFC for sort of 4 years was incredible because it taught me everything I needed to know about growing a brand in a market that didn't quite accept it. You know, so we had to think of ways of creating content that kind of changed the narrative, changed the story, changed the focus. And made people think that actually UFC was a pretty cool brand. And then after the whole Conor McGregor kind of fame and glory, I sort of decided it was time to kind of move on again and do a different challenge. So Gfinity asked me if I would come across and be their head of content. And esports was not something that I'd ever kind of been involved in before. I'm not a gamer myself. I'm probably way too old and not cool enough to be in that world. But I kind of, because I've been in the kind of digital landscape for a long time, I knew that this was the space to be in, and it was hugely booming, hugely exciting, and it's where the young people are. And to be able to create content that I guess hits the right key and hits the right notes with the sort of younger demographic is really exciting to me as I'm getting older. I've got 2 young kids, 2 boys, who love this world. They don't watch TV, they only watch YouTube, they game, they do all the things that kids like to do. So I wanted to come across, because as a producer of content, it's given me an opportunity to do things that I've never done before. It was kind of the Wild West when I joined Gfinity when it comes to esport content. So I kind of decided to bring my knowledge of mainstream broadcast, traditional broadcast and live event production into the world of sort of esports, and to try and elevate the level of production around the games, because the games are so incredible. The graphics are amazing, as you would all know. And I wanted to create stories and content around the games that really did justice to the kind of quality and the level of the sort of production around the games themselves. So I've been doing this, I've been in the world of esports for sort of the last 4 years, and we've done everything from CSGO, FIFA, Rocket League, Street Fighter, you name it. We've kind of done every game under the sun. And each game has its own demographic, it has its own culture, it has its own community. And I think that's the most exciting part, right? You're talking to different communities with each game you take on. So you have to understand the game, you have to understand the community, and you have to think about ways of creating content that really connects with that community. So that's my background. Esports is an incredible space to be in, and it's just it's booming. So if that's your passion and that's your drive, and that's what gets you up in the morning, then it's a great industry to become a part of. And especially if you're young and you're sort of starting out in this space, I can highly recommend moving into it and using your passion to kind of create really cool stuff.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, Amanda. That's awesome. Let's go down to Clifford. Please introduce yourself. Let us know what you got going on.
What have I got going on? That's a good one. Thanks, Julian. So I've got a company called 1080 Media Television. We set this up 13 years ago now. Doesn't time fly? And this is my 3rd business in the media sphere, if you like. Over that time, we've been very, very fortunate to work on some amazing productions around the world, and we do a lot of international traveling as part of this. So we, a little bit like Amanda, we, very much a traditional broadcast television, if you like, lots of live productions. But over the last 5-6 years, I guess we've pivoted quite a bit into the whole live streaming side of things, and that's drawn us into esports as well. So we've also been involved over the last couple of years with clubs like Brighton and Southampton and so on, doing productions for them around their esports tournament for the EPL. We got involved in that. In fact, we were sitting alongside Gfinity for a couple of those as well, because they were running the whole thing and doing a fabulous job. But we were doing more of a sort of a broadcast production around it, if you like, with presenters and commentary. But over the sort of the last 30 years or so, I've been able to introduce probably about 60 or 70 people into the business, and we've, a lot of those have gone on. They've worked for things like the Big Breakfast. They're working on lots of sports productions now. So it's been really nice to see, bring people in as assistants and bring them up to cameramen and directors and so on. And then they leave us and go on and do something better and bigger than we are, which is a lovely thing to see. So I'm still in touch with a lot of those people, and we use them for productions as well. So if there's anything we can do to help you guys, love to hear what you're doing, where you want to go, what you want to do, and see if we can help you. That's it, really.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Clifford. Kerry, if you don't mind, just let us know, what you got going on. What's your company about?
Yeah, thanks so much, Julian. Hi, everyone. I'm Kerry Waananen. I am a multimedia content executive for Esports Insider, which is a London-based esports industry news site, but we also specialize in holding industry leading B2B events. So that's business to business. So most of the content that Esports Insider is putting out is focused on the business side of things and industry happenings, and less about the sports side of esports, and less about also adjacent news such as influencers or streaming. So within our niche, I believe that Esports Insider is a leading publication. Now, a little bit background about me. Originally from Seattle, Washington in the United States. I studied at the University of Washington. I studied medical anthropology and global health, which is not very much related to esports as on a base level, but my focus in my studies was cyborg anthropology, which is looking at the relationships humans have with technology and how that affects culture. I studied for a year in Chengdu, Sichuan, China, where I was researching Chinese cell phone culture for my thesis. And while I was in China is where I really saw the future in terms of gaming being mainstream, with their internet cafe culture, and mobile gaming is synonymous with a phone. If you have a phone, you're playing games, and you're playing games everywhere. And I saw that this is eventually going to sweep across the East into the West. I'm currently based in Amsterdam. And this was because of COVID. I was working before for a tech recruitment startup, but with COVID happening, I pivoted toward more closer to my interests, which is, as I said before, cyborg anthropology. And so now I not only create multimedia content for ESI, which means I create written content, I create graphic content, and I create video content for ESI. And on top of that, I use my studies in anthropology to really help understand people's stories and also share them in the best way that I can.
Amazing, amazing. You know, my brother lives in Seattle, and my cousins do as well. I spent many weeks in Bremerton across a few summers. You know, so I love the Northwest. Fantastic area.
Really
Nicolas, please share a little bit about yourself.
Of course, and thanks for having me and giving me and Blast this opportunity. So I was part of the founding team back in the inception of this company in 2016. Back then we owned teams. Some might know teams like Astralis that still exist, that has since been sold off. Down the path in our company, we found a need for trying to change the event space and kind of challenge the status quo that there was. Which became my core every day, from conceptualizing the event that back then became Blast Pro Series, a global tournament circuit, much like Formula One in arenas all over the world, up until where we are today, where we've tweaked the format of that. We still do, under normal circumstances, events all over the world in arenas with 10,000 plus people in them, very much online now, of course, but with a heavy focus on the holistic approach around what is a good experience, anywhere from a commercial relation to a partner that we're bringing in, to a fan watching the show either from home or in an arena somewhere. My own personal journey has been quite the journey, from never really finishing anything in school. I'm not saying you shouldn't stay in school, definitely stay in school. I did, until I felt like a new path made more sense. So I'm self-taught in everything that I've done, which began with content. In the early days of esports, I was one of those people at LAN events all over the country and in Europe, where we slept under our tables to safeguard our mouse and keyboards and headsets from getting stolen, and played tournaments, winning only a couple of €100 per tournament, which back then felt like millions. Quickly found out that I was never as good as my good friends who are now coaching some of the best teams in the world. So I had to figure out what to do. So I ended up picking up a camera, learning how to film, document the things that was around me, which led me on a self-taught journey of having worked on documentaries, music videos, commercial productions in and out of esports, until I ended up in this more product and experience focused role as that just came natural in the company that I got brought into. So quite the journey in a lot of different directions, and right now very much focused around fan experiences, but with a long history in content in all shapes and forms.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much. You know, Nicolas, as you were saying that, I pictured like a sports film, but now I guess an esports film, which I don't think has been made yet, but you know, the opening scene and you're sleeping on top of your laptop and people are stealing your friend's stuff and you need it to win the tournament to save your family or something. You know, that's the movie that I just made up in my mind.
I think it's a Disney movie in the making, right? The Christmas movie everyone wants to see.
Hey, that's a multi-billion-dollar idea. You know, I'm telling you, the esports universe. You know, so thank you so much for your introductions. I'm really happy to be sharing space with each of you. A little bit about myself. My name is Julian Alexander. I am a filmmaker, mainly, who likes to dip his toes into acting, theater, rapping even. Who knows, maybe you'll hear some bars throughout. I tend to accidentally fall into speaking in rhyme anyway. But yeah, mainly I make films, I've made music videos. I kind of just like telling stories. That's my main thing. I'm a storyteller in whichever way the story needs to be told. And at the minute, I'm at the University of East London teaching, along with doing a PhD where I'm working on making films using rap as the main dialogue. So think Hamilton, but now we're incorporating more cinematic nuances, cinematic themes. Basically, I'm making rap movies, all right? And so, and except I get to write about it in very academic ways, but you know, I basically just get to rap, you know? So it's really great. Who would have thought? I would have never imagined I'd be doing this stuff. So we're gonna jump straight into this workshop. This is a video production workshop. And at the end of this, right, you should be able to have the tools or an idea on basically how to create a pretty simple film. And the idea of making a film can feel complicated, can feel hard, but at its core, it's very simple. And each of you have the tools already to make it. That tool being your phone, which is how I made all the examples that I'm gonna showcase today. Real quick, you can just toss into the chat if you've had any experience making a project or making a film before, even if it's something like a TikTok video. You know, so maybe just throw it in the chat or even shout it out right now. If you've filmed before, you know, you can say so. Does anybody have experience? Even I've made a TikTok video, y'all. What?
Well, if no one is speaking, I would share my experiences.
Yeah, please.
For me, like I work as a coach for esports teams and like the Esports Player Foundation. And what we do is we made some films about like basically announcements when the players were announced, or like when the player departed, or like in-game sequences. And yeah, so that's the experience that I have, and I don't feel confident in like doing this more. I want to do it more, but I don't feel confident, and that's why I'm here. Amazing,
amazing. Well, thank you for joining us. Was it Joseph? Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Happy to have you here. Here's the cool thing, you know, and my response to that, you know, it's not about being good. It's not about making great videos. It's just about doing something that you like and that you enjoy. And the thing is, the more that you like it and enjoy it, which is how I got into film in the first place. I used to make skate videos, and I would just go out with my friends and we'd skateboard. Suddenly, my videos became better because I was just going around enjoying it. Oh, look at this shot. Oh, it'd be cool if, you know, you ollied over that. My skateboarding never improved. So eventually I put down the skateboard and just started to go with the videos. But it kind of happened organically and naturally, where I woke up like, oh, you know, I'm actually kind of good at this. In the long run, just like anything, just like sports, practice makes perfect. All right. And these will give you the tools to kind of kick off that practice. So when you're making your video, very simple, you need to basically do these 4 things and incorporate them into your video, right? Because the purpose of this is that when you go to your eSport event in about 2 weeks, we're going to be showcasing your work. So we're not going to get into the complicated ideas of how to create it, how to do those things. You just have to know that when it's like putting together a puzzle, right? And you just need to make sure that you have your puzzle pieces. right? So next week, when you go to that editing class, you have enough puzzle pieces in order to actually put together your image, all right? And so the 4 puzzle pieces that I'm gonna ask you to think about and consider, and I'll tell you exactly what each thing is you need an introduction, you need coverage, you need B-roll in that coverage, and you need an outro, right? So pretty much you need your beginning, your middle, and your end. Your beginning being your intro, your middle being your coverage and B-roll, which is basically what are we seeing? Like, you know, what's the point of this? What's the real meat of what we're talking about, right? And then your ending, right? So those are just the 4 things that you need. Simple as that, you know? All films are pretty much broken up into that. Some more complicated than others, all right? But my little random music video and the Avengers film, at like the only comparison is that they share these things. They have a beginning, middle, and end. You know, so it's simple as that. Whoops. So one thing to avoid when you're creating are things like, you know, jump cuts and bad sounds. So the most important thing that you can think about, again, when you're creating, right? You want your coverage, you want your shots, you want these things, but we want to avoid stuff called jump cuts and terrible, terrible sound. Sound is the main thing that will make or break your project. You can have something that looks completely awful and everything I'm going to showcase to you actually doesn't look that great. But I think this sounds all right, which kind of makes it more forgivable, right? So the main thing that you can do when you're first starting off in your production is to avoid having terrible sound. And even now, I'm talking to you via this little microphone, and hopefully that's making it a bit more bearable too, because sometimes, you know, computer mics aren't doing it for you. So I'm going to showcase a quick video about what a jump cut looks like.
So this is something that you want to avoid. It's called a jump cut. So a jump cut is basically what happens when you cut in the middle of the same shot. You see something weird there just happen? You have to notice a few differences. I mean, you gotta admit, jump cuts are kind of weird, right? So you need to put something in between the cuts in order to make it make sense.
So hopefully that made a little bit of sense, right? So basically I had the same exact shot, and then I kept cutting in between like my dialogue and stuff like that, right? So it's called a jump cut because suddenly I'm jumping around the screen in the middle. The way to avoid a jump cut is you put things in between it, right? So I hide the cut so that I'm not literally seeing it by putting something.
So one of the easiest ways to avoid jump cuts is to just put things in between those cuts, right? That's the coverage that we're talking about. So as I talk about this plant right here, I'm actually going to get shots of the plant so I can place them in between. When I want to cut to different moments in my soliloquy about this plant, when I want to talk about the brilliance in the foliage, this plant is amazing. I can talk about
the plant all day, that plant right there, right? Because actually I was cutting a bunch in between. I was just saying random things about the plant, right? So if I actually showed that footage, I'd be jumping around saying, I can talk about this plant all day. Oh, this plant's amazing. Oh, look at the foliage. But it sounds like one complete sentence because I'm hiding those cuts by just showing little content of said plant. And that's basically the idea of coverage or the idea of B-roll, right? So I have the content, I'm talking about the plant, right? And then I get shots of the plant so that you're seeing that at the same time as I'm talking about it. So when we're talking about gaming, right? You're talking about the game that you like to play. Maybe you can showcase a shot of you actually playing that game at the same time. Or if you're introducing your neighborhood and saying, hey, yo, I'm from Hackney, right? Why not go and take a shot of the Hackney, I'm gonna say subway station, tube station, right? Yeah, tube station, sorry. Yeah. The Hackney tube station, right? And so as you're talking about it, you can say, yo, I'm from Hackney. And then you can show, you know, the Hackney station at the same time, get a few shots of there, right? So here's a little bit of sound advice that I'm gonna give you. And I'm gonna incorporate this in a video as well. But since you're most likely gonna be shooting on your phone, here's one thing that I do all the time. Look, we all, you know, we've all seen music videos before, and the rapper or something like that is literally wearing headphones, you know, while they're performing, right? And we all know what the headphones are for. It's because that's where they're getting the audio from, you know, because they didn't bring speakers or something like that. And like, to be honest, I'm cool with it, you know, especially for a video like this. It's more about what do you need to do to be comfortable? What do you need to do to just make sure that you get the right shots and just get quality content? So oftentimes, if I'm recording a video or something like that, let's say I'm recording myself in selfie mode, I'll actually have my headphones plugged in, right? And as a result, the sound's a lot better. Because the thing is, when you're shooting, sometimes, you know, you're covering your microphone, you know, things like that. It gets muffled. So, you know, I'm shooting this and I'm talking to it. It ends up, you know, kind of sounding like this the whole time. And then I can't understand anything. And when you're in like a huge, you know, this is going to play like on a pretty big screen with like proper speakers. The higher quality the speakers are, the worse this is going to sound, because the frequency is so low and it's going to have a lot of bass, you know? So you're going to be talking about something very important to you. And like your most important video games, not going to fly. All right. This is a great just way to do it. Hey, it's fine. You have your headphones on, no worries. And each of you probably have some gaming headphones the same way my man Hugo is rocking. Hey, you're a gamer. That's how you look most of the time when you're playing. Why not just, you know, get audio the same way? You can be talking about it. Hey, I play games. I like it. Boom, boom, boom. This is how I play Call of Duty. This is how I play 2K. This is how I talk my trash when I'm beating you in the game. You know, whatever you got to do. But hopefully the audio will come in, you know, nice. So the way that I do it, I'm just going to showcase this to you. I can either do that while I'm getting the footage at the same time. The other way that I do it, and this is a little bit more complicated, but next week, Jamie, the editor, can showcase how to put these things together. But I go to my voice memo app, all right? So on each of your phone, whether you have an iPhone or an Android, whoops. Okay, there we go.
So one of the
whether you have an iPhone or an Android, you should be able to, you know, have a voice app, right? There's something actually showing up, sorry. Whoops, anyways, while I'm here. Anyways, you have a voice memo application, all right? And so you can pull up, hit record on your app, you know, set your phone wherever you need to set it. And let's say I'm recording on my computer speaker, my webcam speaker. So right now I'm getting audio from my phone, but I'm getting the footage from here, right? So I'm gonna give myself a clap, bam, I just clapped into the screen. I just clapped into my phone, right? And I'm getting separate audio, hopefully higher quality audio on my phone. And then I'm speaking to it now, right? And then in the editing program, I'm gonna match the audio. And the way that I match it is since I clapped, I can match the clap to my hands clapping. And then I have really great audio right then and there, right? So that's the more complicated version of doing it. And the thing is that I don't think you necessarily have to if you don't want to, all right? Just for the sake of this. But if you want to go out of your way and do it, go for it. That's what I'm talking about. It's just about knowing that you have those tools and that ability available to you. So we're gonna go back through this real quick. Boom, boom.
So
now we're getting to the idea of coverage, right? So we have our idea of how to make sound. We have our idea of, you know, how to avoid jump cuts if possible. And here's the other thing about jump cuts, y'all. I said that, but if you watch any like YouTube host or any YouTube video, when they're talking straight to the camera, oftentimes they do incorporate jump cuts in their presentation. And so, you know, there's a toss up there, right? It's basically do the jump cuts if you can make them good and engaging, right? So it's basically just cutting out the uhs and the you know, but oftentimes if you're doing the jump cut while like right here in the same place in the same beat, we're all kind of used to it now too, okay? So when it comes to filmmaking, it's just about you just making it and presenting it in a way that looks good and looks honest. Hey, if you can make jump cuts work, great, perfect, right? Because that just might be your style as well. You know, have some music underneath it. Maybe you're jump cutting to the beat, you know, maybe there's something rhythmic about it. it's all good, right? Or you can even jump in and make it look like 2 different shots, which is the way that I shoot, right? So I often have my footage, I have me doing my stand-up or my introduction, and then I'll punch the shot in the same shot to make it look like a new shot. And you'll be seeing that shortly.
So even if you're shooting by yourself, right? So I'm in selfie mode, I got my arm fully extended, I can still get coverage or a variety of shots. So this is me with my arm fully extended, the widest I can get if I'm holding my phone. And then I can start saying things this close. Suddenly we have coverage, we have variety, we have things that are happening that are different, right? We have far shots, we have close shots, and we have medium shots. With profile shots, so maybe I'm cutting from the profile shot, right, as I'm talking, and then I come back to the front-facing shot right here. I can even get crazy, and I can look straight up right now at you. Why not just do a shot like this? Anyways, do what you need to do that showcases your personality, your style, in a way that you feel most comfortable to give us insight into who you are.
So yeah, a lot of the stuff is just about, you know, again, showcasing who you are. It's about integrity, showing off, you know? So, hey, maybe you want to, you know, obviously I'm kind of wild with it. I like to have fun. I like to do things that are interesting. And oftentimes my advice is no matter what, just make it interesting, you know, if anything like that. If you're having writer's block, if you're having shooting block, you know, you're like, oh, what do I do? Just look around. What's the most interesting thing that you can film? Again, when I look at that plant and I'm looking for a shot, what's just the most interesting thing I can do to it, you know? And that's usually where I start, you know? And then it's downhill from there, you know? And you can just go on autopilot and kind of just see what's interesting. But yeah, why not? Why not kind of showcase, you know? And you're getting a little bit about me, even in this shot, right? And that's kind of the beauty of it. So if I showcase this, you learn things. You see, I'm political, you know? I like activism. I'm hydrated. You know, I got a book right here. I'm working. I got an amazing setup. I got 2 keyboards. I'm really in this. So you can kind of get these clues. I have a ring light right here, you know, because I'm dedicated. All right. So you can like you can be Sherlock Holmes with it, right? So what do you want to show off, you know, as you're doing it? The same way, you know, if you look at my screen right now as I'm talking to you, you know, you can see I'm a keeper of foliage. Actually, I'm not. That's my girlfriend's. But hey, you know, I pretend that that I just have to water them occasionally. And that's my job. Okay. So now we need to talk a little bit about lighting. All right. And oftentimes, right. So I have a ring light right now. Imagine if I turn this off, actually, you know, it's kind of, you know, because you know, it's really gray right now over here. It's foggy, it's raining to my right. And it's kind of wild because it's like 10:30. Imagine it a little bit sunny. But up here in Manchester, where I am, sun is hard to come by. So I have this ring light, boom, giving me much better. Oftentimes I might turn on that backlight too, which is what you see on my screen now. But I'll just show you a little bit about lighting.
Another thing to think about is light. So this actually looks pretty good light-wise. There's a cool little lens flare right here. But you know, we can see that there's one light behind me, and I'm kind of cheating because I actually have a ring light providing my fill right here, right? So everything's pretty well exposed. Let's take a look at something different. So this is what it looks like with just one light behind me. I would say this is actually pretty unusable, okay? If a light's behind you, it's gonna silhouette you, right? So it's not gonna work. The same thing goes for the sun, which is the strongest light of all. So
right. So basically, you know, if we look at this, you don't want to look like a supervillain, you know, who's calling in, you know, telling you that you're gonna, you know, destroy the world or something. So I think we've all been on that Zoom call or something, and there's somebody on the Zoom that looks like this, you know, and you're like, well, I can't see your face, you know? Are you like a bad guy? You know, your voice kind of sounds like this now, you know? The way to avoid that, I mean, basically the reason why that occurs is just their light source is behind them, okay? And the way to avoid that is just either, you know, I would turn on all my lights or something like that, just making sure that there's something hitting my face, right? So let's say I didn't have my ring light, right? But I have a window right here. You can see this light hitting me to the side, right? So I'm not gonna shoot, you know, this way, or, you know, might as well just show you now. So if my only light source is a window, right, it's gonna expose for the window. And then if I stand in front of it, you can't see me. Again, there's that superhero thing. My camera is not picking it up. It's confused. That's why it's going up and down, right? So let's say you are shooting your video on your webcam. All you need to do is give yourself some side light. And hey, if this is as good as you can get with just some soft kind of diffused, rainy cloud light, that's perfectly fine, all right? But if you can put a lamp next to you, you know, if you can actually take your, I do this so many times. If you can borrow somebody else's phone and turn on the flashlight, right? It can have the same effect, right? So if I boost it up even, this comes in handy a lot, you know, and obviously the less light there is, the better it looks. So you can kind of get funky with it, you know, I can kind of just explore. And that's often what I'm doing when I'm making videos like this. I'm just exploring, and it's an exploration. All righty. So I kind of incorporated all of those things, and I made myself a little documentary of sorts last night because I was having too much fun, all right? And I didn't want y'all to have all the fun. So I made another one too that's a bit more informative, but this one's just a little bit fun where you'll get a vibe about me. All right, so let's check it out.
Hey, my name's Julian Alexander, and I play games on my phone. So the first time that I realized that it might be a problem that I play games on my phone was when I was hanging out with my little niece and my nephew. They were talking about playing Fortnite on a Nintendo Switch, and I was like, oh, I played Fortnite on my phone. And they were like, what? You're a mobile gamer? It hurt my feelings. They called me a mobile gamer. Hey, the last console I got was a PlayStation 2 in 2002 when I was 9 years old. But that doesn't mean that I still can't handle my business on any console today. I grew up playing the Sega Genesis, back when there were only 3 buttons you could choose from. And the fact is that today there's many more, since I was there from the beginning. I don't know what I'm even saying. All right, that's me in a nutshell. Maybe I'll catch you on FIFA or 2K mobile.
All right, cool. I left in that little laugh, of course. I wanted to showcase my personality, and then, you know, I can't take myself too seriously often, especially when I'm talking about playing games on my phone. And yeah, it was just, I was trying to improvise my way through stuff, which is a great example and a great way to know that you should definitely plan what you're supposed to say. But, you know, what I want to figure out is, you know, what was that video missing? You know, as much maybe fun as it was, right? We need an idea of like, you know, it needed more. It was missing something, you know? So can we identify maybe what that video was missing, even with an idea of, with some of the things that I mentioned earlier in the session? Anybody have a clue? Sweet. So actually, I'll lead that into Ollie's question here. So yeah, definitely the little backing soundtrack. Towards the end, I had you know, some music playing, but it could have been way louder, right? You know, it could have just been a little bit better. And in the editing, those are the things that you can do, right? So it's quick things where all of a sudden you add in music and it's a lot more fun. You know, let's say during that moment where I was against the window, where I was kind of crying because my niece and nephew said I'm a mobile gamer in an offensive way, like, you know, kind of making fun of me. I was like, hey, look, pals, all right? I could have added like some piano, some violin, some melodic, something to really, you know, back that up. Exactly, some gameplay footage, right, of the games that I actually play, right? Maybe screen sharing, and you can screen share on your phone. You can screen share off of the games that you're playing. So if you're talking about how much you like Street Fighter, I want to see some footage of, you know, you actually playing Street Fighter. So maybe we can get footage of, you know, you literally with the controller, You know what I mean? So just somebody to shoot you playing, right? Or you can set your camera up somewhere. You can be playing, boom, 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 and then cut that into gameplay footage of doing that, because you can share, right? So you can just take that, pull it out the game, and throw it into your timeline. And that's a great way to actually fill your go up with content that you actually don't have to shoot and produce yourself. You know what I mean? So I had some transitions between the shots. That was when I was kind of making those weird faces as I was playing the game like this to kind of make it happen. Except, you know, the comedy didn't work, Hugo. It was bad comedy. It didn't really work. It looked awkward, and you're totally right. So although I had transitions between shots, they were bad transitions between shots. All right. In terms of the other video, filming myself, Ollie, that was all, you know, right here. Selfie mode, you know, just kind of making it happen, kind of hiding my shoulder a little bit, you know, to kind of make that work. We're so used to this image now. I feel like our brains just kind of get rid of an arm, you know, when we're looking at stuff like this. But I had help from somebody who you could hear laughing in the background when I was talking about the Sega Genesis when it came to this last clip, right? So yeah, exactly. So all those things, but it was also missing environment. Right, where like I was just playing games like right here, like there was nothing really nice about the setup and stuff like that. So we're asking you to showcase where you're from, who you are, your neighborhood, where you play games. I want to see that at the same time. So if you're talking about exactly, it lacked B-roll, right? It lacked good B-roll, it was whatever, right? And so this next video hopefully will showcase, you know, a little bit better way to capture all these things. Let me just make sure audio is being shared properly. Sorry. Oh, I have to go all the way through again. Sorry, y'all. Oh my goodness gracious. Awesome, sweet. So let's give this one a look.
Yo, 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 what's going on, gamers and soon to be filmmakers? So since this is a video production course, I also wanted to make a video using some of the same materials and resources that you may have at your disposal. Anyways, here's the spiel. I live in Manchester, all right? And currently it's like 12:30 in the morning. I need to be in London tomorrow, scratch that, later on today, rather, at 10 in the morning in order to teach a course. So I'm gonna be up in a few hours to hop on a train to get down to London. So I'm gonna document this prolific, productive, and most likely exhausting day. So anyways, let's see how it goes. Here's the video. The thing about an iPhone alarm is that it chooses every morning to wake me up using violence. Worst alarm in the world. However, it works because I'm up. It's 5 a.m. Let's get the day started. It's definitely not the first train I might have to run for. Okay, hey guys. I made it to the train and I'm a little bit out of breath. However, I wanted to show you something. I'm using my headphone microphone for audio, so you can hear me clearer, better. So I'm pretty much turning my headphones into a lavalier mic. So this is really good just to make sure that you get better audio when you're shooting on your phone. You can use headphones or even your AirPods. I made it down to London. I got my coffee. I'm on time. So far, so good. I want to showcase a different style of storytelling. I realize I'm doing a lot of speaking to you, to the camera. So what's going to happen if I stop doing that and just let my voice do the talking and let the visuals strictly share the images? So I'm recording all of this on my voice memo app on my phone, and then I'll overlay it over the top of this footage. You can get really crazy with the shots, get funky, get interesting. So maybe you're showing off playing games, maybe you're showing off your neighborhood, then you can have a little voiceover just like this, telling us about it. right now I'm trying to figure out the best shot to showcase these docks, right? So we have the water, we have planes. What's the best look? Shooting flat, straight across the water? What do you think? We have some foggy buildings in the back. All right, but let's pan right a little bit. Now we're shooting down, right? Our eye is drawn all the way to the end, to the city. All right, now we have the rail in the middle. We can see the building on the right. Do you prefer that? This isn't bad either, but right here is my favorite shot. There, right there, that's the shot I'll use. Now that we got that shot, I need to go to the library. Y'all call it ping pong out here, but where I'm from, we say ping pizzle. These are the most terrifying stairs. Why is it so dark in here? So again, I'm trying to figure out the best shot. Is my right hand better? Is my left hand better to hold the camera? All right, so we did it. So remember, you're always looking for the best shot. Like right now, it's a little bit too bright back there, right? So I'm just gonna tap. And boom, that is much better. So always adjust your shot so that it looks the best. That's really the point, you know? I hope that you enjoyed my little trip down to London from Manchester. Now I gotta kind of prep for this class right now. So I will talk to you very soon.
Right, so I had a lot of fun, shooting that video earlier this week, kind of going down to London for it. But I thought I wanted to showcase just one, a bit of a relaxed way that you can kind of shoot your projects. This is not something that, you need to stress over incredibly so, but it's something that's very important for you to show off your personality. And although, an academic, I had the filmmaking experience, I had a blast shooting it, on the way where it's just, let me capture just what this journey really looks like. The same way that you're going to capture, your neighborhood using, again, your camera. When you go outside, what do you see? Boom, boom, boom. Then you can talk about it in the multiple different ways. So we had the way where I'm literally talking to camera and just overlaying clips underneath it. Or like I showed before, I can talk into my voice memo app as I'm speaking about the shots and then overlay the audio onto that, right? No doubt. I wish that Smart Water could play me for that. I love their sparkling water. It's amazing. And I appreciate it. I was looking at Hugo's screen most of the time. Sorry, you laughed at my jokes. So thank you so much. I really, that gave me confidence. So this, the main thing actually, and I think that it's important is the subtitles, and that's exactly what I was going to say. That's actually what probably took the longest to make, but it's also really important to incorporate subtitles because oftentimes people might be hearing impaired, but oftentimes I just prefer it, especially in this where things are going to be playing choppy all the time. So that guarantees that you're going to be able to see everything and get all the information of what I'm saying, right? So subtitles are great to add. If you're making a 1 minute video, sometimes there's something that you can totally do in an easy way. And again, next week, your teacher, Jamie, will go through the lighting graphics, right? So the video, I shot it, kind of just on my way to London. So kind of just anytime I was walking and not rushing, and not trying to figure out which train I was supposed to be in. I wanted to have more fun with it, but I was literally like, oh, if I miss this train, I'll be late, So, just kind of on the journey when I could and kind of be chill with it. But the editing maybe took, maybe an hour to just edit the whole thing. And then I was working on the subtitles actually for quite a bit. But then again, that's also, a lot of experience, editing. So I kind of knew what was going on and stuff. And really, it's about just a showcase of the personality, right? Having an idea of like, okay, this is what I want to show, this is what I want to do, but the intention is also to teach and educate. So that was behind a lot of the shot choices, right? So a lot of the things that I would do if I'm just trying to show off the school, I'd probably do people different things, or might be way quicker with my editing, right? The video would have probably been like 1.5 minutes versus a 5-minute video, because I wouldn't be talking through everything. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Nicolas. Absolutely. That would have been amazing. Honestly, I wanted to set up like my camera like somewhere and have me like walking around. And I was like, I just don't trust these streets that much. If I walk away from my phone, someone's definitely going to grab it. But maybe that's the New Yorker in me, who spent a lot of time on the East Coast. But absolutely, you're totally right, Nicolas. Having some establishing shots are so important. Establish where we are, establish our location, right? That's really, really important. Wide shots, introducing the character. So if you have somebody who's helping you out, have them get that shot of you playing the game wide, establish that we're in that space, right, with you, here and there.
And I think maybe
cut that in.
Can we barge in and just drop some comments in while you go ahead?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think on that note, I think if you look at people doing vlogging right now, right, everyone is very much camera in hand, very in your face type of approach. And I think if you look at maybe one of the gods of vlogging, Casey Neistat, right, I think where he excels is exactly this point, right? Get the camera away, film yourself doing things that may seem not logical, like sitting in a train or just walking in and out of a room several times, but all these things give us, the sensation of being a fly on the wall. And that, to me at least, is what really make his vlogging excel.
Exactly. It's that variety of shot, that we're talking about, that coverage, how to make this most interesting. Yeah, you're totally right, Nicolas. Absolutely. So with that, we're going to take a 10-minute break, everybody. And when we come back, we're actually going to start to practice your own introductions. We're going to give you the tools to actually do that first kind of 20% of the video, that very important piece to do it. You're going to break up into breakout rooms with our special guest, and we're going to sort you out in a way where you leave today, you pretty much have that very important piece written and ready to rock, and you can shoot it immediately with that same momentum.